TitleMatchNetwork.com.
When do you think the Kliq was truly formed?
When we were doing those, the Raw was out of the Manhattan Center, and we were doing those face-to-faces, which were really a time-consuming, and it was like face-to-face, the Manhattan Center, which was a brutal place to shoot those TVs, like one shower, locker rooms about as big as a twin-size bed. Went from there to the Titan production place and sat in this room that was maybe the size of a hotel room. 25, 30 guys crashed, laying on this indoor-outdoor carpeting, eating this processed chicken breast and baked ziti, doing these face-to-faces all day long, and then, running like Bushkill, Poughkeepsie, doing this, like, just that
Shit
whole,
towns.
and living in that jet port over in Elizabeth, New Jersey, hanging out at the strip joint there, Lookers.
Oh, I know, yeah.
Just that it was just such and you just had to have, you had to have some running mates. You just had to have some guys. And I was already tight with Shawn when I got there, and I'd already known Scott. And when first night after Albany, we got to the jetport, and Shawn reached back and he bit something. He reached it back, and it was half a Placidil. He bit into it, and he gave me the other half. And I said, "What's that?" He said, "Just take it." And we went down, and Scott had some Valiums. He gave me one of those. I never take any pills. Drank a couple of beers. I'm like, these aren't kicking in. They're not doing anything. And they just looked at me, and it was basically like, all right, I got it.
At what point do you think the Kliq gained power? Because is it true that, at one point you guys all threatened strike and Vince had to be called to house shows?
No.
No, yeah.
No, I just think that was, we're in Indianapolis, and we called from a Coco's restaurant. And this was shortly after that whole thing happened up in Montreal.
Right.
We just one after another. And at this point, Hunter was with us. I think Hunter was undefeated, and we just one after another talked to Vince on the phone. And I think as he looked at it, it was just like, wow, that's 5 matches on my card tonight that are that would be screwed with if these guys did decide to do something. We just basically vented our displeasure with some of the things that were happening. So they came down, they flew down, and we met in a hotel, and then we went to Columbus that night. And but Vince, I remember one time we were up in Canada, and all the guys said, you've got to break this Kliq up. And this is when we would go to the building early and put Kliq on a thing and then stick them on the door and then leave, then come back later. And the guys would think these guys, they got their own locker room.
Right.
I mean, we were looking, it was, we were looking to get some heat. And we had it. Shawn had so much heat, it was, I think the reason he brought me in the first place was just to really be a bodyguard.
Huh. What happened with you guys and Shane Douglas?
I didn't have any problems with him. I think that the other guys drove him crazy. He came in he was touted like the number one pick. He was, the big ECW star, and so he came in with pretty high expectations. And he went out in Cincinnati, and the first night he had a house show was with Kid, and Kid was always the barometer.
Right.
See if you could go. Yeah, if you could go, and Kid came back, and they didn't have a very good match, and Kid just went, gave the double armpit he ain't got it. And that's,
Right.
So.
We did an interview with Shane, and Shane said that he also worked Scott, and Scott sandbagged him a lot and stuff.
Scott never sandbagged anybody.
Right. That's what Shane said, so.
Yeah, you know what, I've worked with Scott after we drank 40 beers apiece on the way from Manchester. He didn't sandbag it that night, and that was with a friend, so.
Chris Candido, he had told us also on his interview that you guys were really hard on him and stuff like that. I guess The question would be, why were you so hard on Chris?
I don't remember being hard on him.
Right. I don't know.
Probably because his girlfriend was sleeping with everybody in the territory, and he was acting like he didn't know what was going on. So if you walk around like a dumb stooge, I don't remember. That's the whole thing. Like these guys say stuff like that. I'm like, I don't remember being hard on him.
I guess you talked about leaving WWF, and you got an offer from WCW. The farewell to the Kliq, everybody still talks about that today because it was shot by handheld at MSG. In retrospect, do you think it was fair to the rest of the boys that you guys did that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. We, it's like anything else. We helped build that place as much as anybody else did. That was the four of us that did that night were in the main event and semi-main event. It's the first time they sold the Garden out in, I don't know how many years, 8, 9 years,
right,
for a house show. So, I mean, that was our blood that we spilled, and that was those fans that stayed loyal to us. And I felt that I was leaving for money, and it was hard for me to do because I loved where I was. I loved being in the WWF. And we felt that we built that place, that we built that together. And the Kliq was a big part of that. And so and it wasn't televised.
Right.
It wasn't televised. It was a house show.
Right.
Yeah, it was a house show in the Garden, but it was still a house show. And we asked if we could do it.
I was going to ask, how did the agents react?
We asked Vince. Vince said, fine.
Where did all the heat come in at?
All the heat came because after we did it, the boys we left, we were done.
Right.
And the boys just started stirring it because now they knew the Kliq was dissolved. So now, okay, they're weak. Let's go after him. Can't go after Shawn. He's got the strap. All the heat goes on Hunter.
Right.
So,
what are your thoughts on I guess your series with Triple H, and are you shocked at how he rose to the power?
No, why would I? He was brought into the business by the masters.
Right.
Why would I not think that he would be smart? No, you can't determine who you fall in love with. But he's, what, man, he's gotten, of all the people I know, he is genuinely probably one of the nicest human beings I've ever met in my life. Comes from a great family, great values, doesn't drink, smoke, doesn't do anything. I mean, like, if I had to pick somebody for my sister to marry, it would be Paul.
Right.
I mean, he's a sincere, really doesn't like badmouth people, will give you an opinion, give you an honest opinion, and then it's like, now it's like he's like the Antichrist. I mean, when you talk to people, it's just like people actually think that like he sits around and just like, oh, I'm gonna fuck this guy over, I'm gonna fuck that guy out. He don't care. He's worried about what he's doing. I'll say, well, what I don't know. I don't know where that's going. I don't know.
All right.
Could you imagine going home and talking business with your wife all day? He doesn't do that.
What happened the night in Philly where you tore your quadricep?
I went to go across. I think I just caught the back of Earl's heel a little bit, and it just rotated my foot. I went to punch Bubba off, and I just rotated my foot just enough. And, that I have so much scar tissue in my knees anyway. I just think that it tore.
It was an 8-man, right, I think?
Yeah. So, the thing was I just came off my bicep being torn. I didn't have my gear there. And they, I got to TV, and me and Shawn went to a powerhouse gym where we're training, and my cell phone rang. It was Stephanie, and she said, can you work tonight? I said, no, I'm not cleared. I'm not medically cleared to work. And she said, well, I really need you. We got this 8-man, blah, 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 blah. I said, I don't have my gear here. She said, is there any way you can get it? So I called Disco Inferno, who's back in Atlanta, to see if he could get my gear. He sent everything except my right knee brace. He couldn't find it.
Good figure.
I blew my right knee out.
Wow. That's
I
crazy.
left me.
If you do not get hurt that night, I guess, what do you think Vince would have done with the whole scenario with you guys?
I don't know. I think it would have worked. Because it would have been. I think anything. They would have done anything to team me and Shawn. It would have worked.
Right.
And especially if Hunter would have. We would have done like a Kliq thing.
Right.
because we never did a Kliq thing. If we would have done that, I mean, it just, I think people, there's that natural energy that friends have when they're out. Like, I think one of the things that got Scott and I over was when people would watch it, they knew that we were actually friends.
So you could feed off each other. And stuff.
Yeah, it was just like, you kind of finish their sentences. There's just that.
It was natural.
Yeah, it is. It's a quality when guys spend that much time together for so many years, and everybody likes a good buddy film. So it's just it's a buddy film every week.
Did you ever feel pressured to do steroids at all, or is it no pressure?
To do what?
Steroids?
No, I never felt. I mean,
just part of the business.
Yeah, I mean, I did them on and off. I didn't do them. I think the last time I did them was Oz.
Right.
And then when I came back, when I tore my bicep, I did them because they told me it would, at my age, I'd come back faster, which I think because I did them, I tore my quad. But
TitleMatchNetwork.com